We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
Throws toward the corner of the end zone. It is intercepted! Intercepted! The Ducks have the ball!
To the end zone! Touchdown, Oregon! Mariota dives! Touchdown! They hand it off straight out! C.J. Burdell wins the game for Oregon!
Inside the 10! A hat-trick, a touchdown from Justin Herbert! Howard's going to run for it. Time runs out, and that'll do it! Welcome to the Big Ten, Oregon! They storm the field at Autzen!
All right, Duck fans, here we go. Welcome into another episode of the Ducks Rising podcast, sponsored by Backer. My name is Zachary, Neel. You know my co-host over there, Travis Rooke-Ley. Travis, what's up, man? How we doing?
Good. Good to be back. Week 3, excited to talk some ball.
Absolutely. We're also thrilled to be joined this week by the great Tyrell Crosby to give us a look at what he saw from down on the field last week against Oklahoma State, and also look ahead to Northwestern. Tyrell, what's up, man? How we doing?
I'm doing well. Just got back to New York yesterday from my time in Eugene, and can't complain.
Absolutely. We are in week 3 now. Looking forward to the Ducks' first road game, first Big Ten game of the year on Saturday morning against the Wildcats. 9 a.m. Pacific time. We're going to break things down for you today. Look at the matchup, give you some predictions, get this thing rolling. Just a reminder, if you have not already, be sure to go to subscribe to our YouTube page and give us a rating and review on our podcasting, whatever podcasting app you use. We've got a great thing going here at Ducks Rising, offering some really incredible content to fans.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the subscribers, the growth, everything has been awesome. And just want to remind members, and all the listeners out there, this podcast is only possible because of the amazing support we have at Ducks Rising. We're offering Oregon fans a unique opportunity in the ever-changing world of college football with membership options starting at just $10 a month. Unlike a lot of other programs and things out there right now, Ducks Rising isn't just asking for your dollars, but we're providing actual value and content in return. So not only are your dollars supporting the acquisition and retention of elite athletes, you're gaining inside access to team news, recruiting, roster developments, live events, interviews with players, coaches, and more. So this is really your opportunity to make an impact by supporting Oregon student athletes, strengthening our NIL program, and helping bring a championship to Eugene.
All right, before we get into the preview and jump into things, we want to do some weekly housekeeping first. The Ducks Rising Film Room dropped earlier this week. Jeff had a breakdown of week 2 against Oklahoma State. A lot of really incredible stuff. I mean, with as many highlight plays as there were in that game, of course, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. You went into blocking schemes, the touchdown highlights, and then look at the new defensive scheme that Oregon is running this year. Travis, what was your favorite part from that one?
I mean, that was a cool one. The defensive part you touched on at the end, because that was one I've kind of heard about. I know there was a lot of chatter around Caleb Downs and how Ohio State used him near the end of the year, but I can't say I ever really understood it or took the time to understand it. But I feel in the game I noticed Kingston Lopez specifically moving around a little bit. I was like, ooh, that's interesting. And then just to see Jeff break it down was super cool. And obviously that's a piece of landing that I think it gets a little under discussed, is his willingness to go around the nation, study what's working and make those adjustments.
Totally. It's he saw Ohio State use this to great success against them in the Rose Bowl, and it's oh, I've got good players who can also do that. I'm going to just kind of steal it a little bit. I love that part of the game.
Yep.
If you haven't yet, make sure to go check out the Ducks Rising Alumni Corner as well. Travis sat down with Ifo Ekpre-Alum to talk about his time with the Ducks. Tell me a bit about that one, Travis.
Yeah, it was cool to talk to Ifo. I mean, same, obviously, some of those same years as you, Tyrell. So just hearing him talk about, the 2014 season, obviously, which we've heard from you before on that one. But, I mean, I think both of you guys were part of the, the glory years of Oregon football in a lot of ways, that 2012, 13, 14. So I think the coolest part, honestly, was just hearing how invested he is still in, following the team in football. And I know that's similar to you too, Tyrell. I feel there's this perception out there that some of these athletes leave Oregon and, they're not even tuned in on Saturdays, but I think you guys are bucking that norm a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. For me, last time I saw Ifo was at the Ohio State game last year. And he knew the players better than I did, just name by name, and it was awesome. And you can tell he's still really invested in. For me, it's awesome because I was a freshman his last year at Oregon. So he's a guy I really looked up to. So to see him kind of still be on that same wavelength as I am with Oregon football, it's fun.
Yeah, that's what I love about the alumni corner. Is it gives us a chance to see what these guys are still doing, to see how much the program still means to them. It's just, outside of that, you don't really have an idea unless they're very open about it, and some of them are, which is totally fine. But being able to bring them on to it and talk about it is really fun. As for today's show, like I said, we're going to give you the full preview on Northwestern and what to expect on Saturday, then look a bit around the college football world and discuss other top games to tune into this weekend. We'll then close it out with our Autzen Airwaves as usual. Before all that, though, Travis, can you tell me a bit about our sponsor, Backer?
Yeah. You probably see Zach and myself, if you're watching on video right now, rocking our Backer hats. This podcast is sponsored by Backer. Backer is a new outerwear company founded by an Oregon alum, combining high-performance materials from the outdoor industry with a sleek Oregon look, as you can see. As someone who's grown up in Eugene, I know the value of high-end apparel on football Saturdays, summer hikes, and winter trips to the mountain. This gear checks every box. We just encourage all Duck fans to check out their hats, hoodies, and more at Backer. That's BCKR.com. Use the code RISINGFREE for free expedited shipping, and 10% of your dollars go back to Ducks Rising.
We will get to Northwestern in a bit, but before that, I want to wrap things up on Oklahoma State. I've said my piece on this, over the past few days in various mediums. So, in essence, it was a complete beatdown that was, I think, pretty entertaining to watch. Travis, I'll throw it to you, though. What were your biggest takeaways from this game when you left on Saturday?
I mean, just to see, I feel like I'm used to that type of game against, a Portland State, another FCS school up in the Northwest, but to see a Power 4 opponent that was playing in, a yard away from being in the playoff 2-3 years ago to then just a dismantling was pretty crazy to see, just like the stark differences in program. Obviously, all the lead up to it with Lanning versus Gundy, and you saw, if you haven't watched the Duck versus them right now, you should probably stop listening or watching this and just go ahead and watch that. Just like the way Lanning, I think it's like the Kirby and Saban of him will just touch on every little piece and any little thing out there to get his team motivated, and it was clear. I mean, snap one, you could tell when he chose to receive, which is very rare.
Right away.
It was like,
right
okay, that guy must be feeling somewhat confident in how this is going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyrell, you were on the field shooting the game. What did you pick? I want to ask about that experience in a second, but first of all, what did you pick up on with that unique vantage point?
Just how motivated that team came out and was ready to play. It was awesome. From the team coming out on the field, just seeing how everyone was motivated to go get a win. And honestly, the most fun part of it for me was it was an absolute party in the end zone, whether it was offense or defense. There was a time, the photographer to my left, he's like, the play always happens right next to me. This is so lucky. And then that was on the first interception. And then 2 plays later, another pick six. And we're just looking at each other like, how? So it was a blast.
How was it being down there shooting? I've done some sports photography before, too. It's not easy. I know that we talked about that before we started airing. But what was your overall experience like?
I was very thankful for the overcast first half. Because I would be needed a lot of water if it was sunny both halves. But ultimately, it was a blast. It was an awesome opportunity that I had, and it was fun. You got to, or at least for me, I got to see the less glamorous side of the photo of actually taking it and realizing my legs afterwards were exhausted. And I kind of caught on towards the second half, seeing a lot of people like kneel down and things like that. But I had my nice shoes on, and I was nervous to get them scuffed up. So I stood the entire time, and my legs were feeling it.
Yeah, that's a long day for sure. I want to ask you guys this, then we'll move on. I've noticed, the national media is seeming to be picking up on, Oregon's scent a little bit. Herb Street talked about it on Saturday night on the broadcast on ESPN. Joel Klatt came out today and said that he thinks, Oregon is the best team in the nation right now. Travis, does that make you uncomfortable at all? Because I'm not gonna lie, it makes me a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me how many years in the last 15 18 years, kind of started in 07, like we've truly been in contention. I feel like that's been the thing that has broken our hearts, but also at the same time is pretty crazy to think about, is like over half those years we have a squad where we're like we're right in it, like we can truly win a title. I think what has been big for the media. And I think the reason for some of that national media shift is they've seen Dante Moore play now, where I think a lot of us who are connected to the program in some way or have seen him play on some level felt that confidence. I think it's picking up nationally now to the point where like, oh, they may have a dude back there. I mean, Joel today, I was listening to him. He thought Dante was probably better than Bo or Dylan, which are two guys that were in New York. So I think just what Dante provides for the offense when you combine him with, you know, what Will Stein likes to do. And then there was a lot of unknowns about the defense. I mean, that was the other piece. A lot of people knew that there was talent back there, but they questioned, you know, is that talent ready to play? And I think through 2 games, it's a pretty obvious answer of yes.
Tyrell, how do you feel? I mean, you've played, you've seen the hype from the outside. You know what it was like to have that hype on you when you're a player. I mean, obviously the players ignore that for the most part, or at least try to. They're coached to. But when you see this national hype start to come, you know, what's your first thought?
I say you really just have to control that. Don't let it get too big or like get too much into your head, which it is hard, especially the last 2 weeks how Oregon's performed, to not start to kind of believe that hype. But you also have to remember everyone else knows that you guys are going to come ready to play Saturday and they're going to train that way. So it is difficult because you know going into games you're going to get the team's best. And so you have to perform like that. So it's give and take with that. But I think how Landon coaches and how he's got a hold of that team, it'll be okay.
I think so too.
I think there's like, if you don't mind me hopping in, Zach, I think there's like 2 pieces with that too. And like Tyrell, I think you touched on it at the end there. Like there's confidence that comes from that, or there's like cockiness that comes from that. I mean, that's the classic like confidence over cockiness. And I think you could tell Saturday, like that to me just feels like we are confident going into this game that like we're gonna, you know, come out and play. We're gonna take the ball. We're gonna go score. So I think I don't know. I think in years past, like if you had asked me, does this make me feel uneasy with you know, some of the past staffs we've had or some of the past years or some of the past teams? I think I feel a little uneasy there. Something about Lanning and the like temperature pulse he has of the squad and the ability to like not let down in games like this weekend just leaves me a little more confident moving forward.
I agree with you, and I definitely have the confidence, but I just think, like, my initial thought is after last year, after spending so many weeks at number 1 and kind of carrying that pressure throughout the year, and then, of course, how the year ended, it almost felt like this year we would just get, like, a little bit of a break, and, like, we were kind of under the radar for a little bit. No one's really talking about Oregon preseason, which was nice. Like, there was so many unknowns. It's like, all right, we'll stay out of the spotlight. Just don't worry about, you know, what's going on in the Pacific Northwest. And then it's like, oh, we got 2 weeks of that. And now it's like, I could really see Oregon being, I mean, if they win week 5 against Penn State, they may be the number 2, number 1 team. Like, I don't think they're going to get much reprieve from being like in that national spotlight. And then ultimately that's a good thing. But after like 2 years straight of this, it gets a little bit exhausting. And of course that's what you want for your program. But it gets a little bit tiresome and in a good way.
Yeah.
And I think the nice part is that team, I mean, theoretically could come along, but you don't have like a Death Star Ohio State. I mean, yeah. I think talent-wise, it's an open year in a lot of ways. You see, I mean, Ohio State ranked number 1 right now. Julian saying at quarterback, a ton of new dudes. I mean, Penn State, we'll see. I've been trying to like not speak too confidently in that game because we'll see what happens. But man, I'll trust them when they win a big one like that. So I think you've got an open year to where last year all of us were kind of, even after that first Ohio State win, we're like, I really don't want to play them again. Like, let's avoid them. And of course it happens 1 versus 8. But I don't know. This team is on the rise.
I just think after last year, it's like, after all Oregon fans got hurt in the Rose Bowl, it's like, all right, we need to take some time to be ready to get hurt again, and it's like, I may need a little bit more time. I'm not going to lie. Like, I don't know if I'm ready to get hurt again. I think I am, but yeah, it's just, we're hopping right back into it. It's just happening faster than I would have expected it to. Let's talk Northwestern. Tyrell, I want to start with you and ask you, as a former player, it's one thing to talk about a 9 a.m. kickoff, but it's another thing to actually go out there and prepare yourself to be at peak form that early in the morning. First of all, did you ever have to play that early? And can you give a bit of insight into what it might be like and, why it's that difficult?
Yeah, and the hard part is they're going to be traveling 2 different time zones. So, Chicago's central. So it's going to be even earlier for the guys from Oregon. So I assume they're going to leave Thursday, not Friday, which is typical whenever you travel, at least further distance. But it is hard to get yourself going that early. And I'm not quite sure of the practice schedule for Oregon. When I was there, we practiced in the morning. And so we did.
They do
for those games. They kind of helped a little bit.
They do this year.
Okay. So I assume that's going to help their bodies at least be kind of used to get going that early. But it is hard to just wake up and go. I was always a guy who I liked having a little quick nap before games and things like that, or just like whatever your normal schedule, it just got compressed. So you just have to be able to kind of adjust on the fly of what you're going to do.
Travis, any thoughts on that? I mean, a lot of the players, Iffy said yesterday that, the DBs are waking up at 4, getting into the facilities at 5, just to kind of prepare and get ready for the day more so. But Lanning has said multiple times this week we're on our normal schedule. We practice at like 9 a.m. every day. So these guys should be ready for that. But what are your thoughts going into that?
Yeah, I mean, I was, I think Iffy yesterday, I know Pregnon kind of referred to it as well. I know you were there, so maybe you can go a little more into that. But I think it's just, I think this staff just, leaves no stone unturned when it comes to this type of stuff, prepares for this type of stuff, is intentional about it. I mean, I think personally, like the sleepy environment is going to be almost more of a detriment than the sleepy hour of the game. I think that can come up to bite you a little more than even the 9 a.m. kick. But, I mean, you hear the players talking about it. I know their, theme for the week, I think, is catered around, just being, wake up, ready to roll, and, create your own energy. I think one of the guys referred to that yesterday. So I think it's just one of those that, you trust your culture, you trust the guys in the building. And, I mean, I don't know. I thought Pregnon's interview yesterday was awesome. Just hearing him talk about not only the culture in the O-line room, but just what they're doing for this week, and that they know as an offensive line, they got to come out and set a tone. I'm sure Tyrell, you can kind of agree with that in the sense of just I feel like when it's one of those games where it's, sleepy setting, sleepy time, it's there's nothing more than your O-line coming out and set the tone and run the ball down their throat a couple drives to wake everyone up.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the games that I think of for me in my career that would be somewhat similar was when I was on the Lions, and it was a COVID year. We were playing Green Bay, and so Lambeau is historic. You go to Lambeau because that's where you're going to play. And for that game, they had no fans, so it felt so much like a Pee Wee football game where there's just nobody in the stands, very quiet atmosphere. And that was the thing we really rallied behind was create your own energy. So I know we went into that game thinking we have to set the tone by running the ball, and that's kind of our mentality of going into it. And we won that game, but it was just I think we won that game. Don't actually remember. It is very much you have to create the energy there because I know Northwestern's not on their typical field, and it's going to be a similar to a Stanford type of game where there's not many fans there. Quiet environment, and you need to be able to create that energy to motivate your teammates around you.
Is there a preference you guys would have as going on the road? Because I feel like I could see it being big time environment, big time crowd. That obviously gets you up, but then you're dealing with, precept stuff, communication versus sleepy environment. You probably feels like a home game, but then at the same time, you're trying to manufacture some of that juice. Was there one or the other you felt there was more challenges with?
I preferred the just chaotic, loud environment because it was consistent. Where you go to this, I'm using Stanford as an example because that's where I played the most in that type of environment. Where there are some incidents or some series you go out and you're oh, can we do our normal cadence or do we go silent cadence? And it was just a lot of inconsistencies throughout the game because you didn't know if the crowd was going to be loud that series or be their typical series and be quiet. So I prefer just the constant chaos. Just keep me in silent count. Don't even let me think about normal cadence. And for me, that was just so much easier.
Let's look at Northwestern specifically. They are the number 80 team on the SP Plus, ESPN's SP Plus, which I've mentioned every week. For reference, Oklahoma State last week was number 50, and that was a 66-point win. So those hoping for a close game, I don't think you're going to get it this week, just being honest. What we've seen so far from them is two wildly different games. You know, they played Tulane in week 1. They lost 23-7. They played Western Illinois, in week 2, and I think they lost 23-3 against Tulane, won 42-7 against Western Illinois, quarterback Preston Stone, he had 4 first-half interceptions week 1 against Tulane, turned around through 3 touchdowns, no picks versus Western. Notably, their starting running back Cam Porter has been ruled out for the season with a lower body injury. So is there anything that you guys have seen from them and their offense that stands out to you in particular?
So I was mainly watching the Tulane game just because the talent is just better. And yeah, their O-line and their running backs and honestly the tight ends really struggle with pass protection, especially against the blitz, which for me was it kind of got me excited for this game because their running back really struggled with the blitz pickup. But offensively, never know. They can come out and play, but I think Oregon's going to do a pretty good job against them.
Yeah. I think it's, I hate to be cliche, but I think that for the most part, it's another Oregon versus Oregon one when it comes to that. I think it's going to be tough for them to present any matchup advantages, anything they can do. I think it's one of the, we'll talk about game flow, I know, in a little bit, but I think it's one of those that if we're clean, we're fine. But I will say, even Ohio State last year, Death Star Ohio State, they went in there and they slept through a first half there. I feel like 10, 15 times in my life, I've turned on a Northwestern Big Ten game that started at 9 a.m. and it's way closer than it should be in the first half. So I think if the culture is where we think it is and the guys come out ready to rock and roll, like Purdue last year, you can just get on them early and squash them. But I don't know. I think it's one of those where the more and I remember this, I was baseball, a little different than football. It's one of those where when you're supposed to beat a team, the more the game stays close, you almost feel the nerves as the game goes a little bit. You can feel that spreading a little bit, and that can create things that are very unlike you. So for me, the game's just dictated in the first quarter in a game like this. If you come out and do your thing, it's game over.
That's why it's one of those bring your own juice games, because they're gonna have to create that fire early and get on them early. On defense, you can certainly run on Northwestern. They give up 269 rushing yards to Tulane in week 1. They've been decently solid against the pass so far, but nothing special from what I've seen. It looks like a pretty average defense from what I looked at. Do you guys have anything that stands out on that side of the ball?
Yeah. So for me, once again, playing with the Lions, would go against Packers often, and they had 2 D tackles. One was Dean Lowry, and I can't remember the other guy. But they were both Northwestern guys, and they were so annoying interior D linemen to run against. And that's kind of was when I was watching the Tulane game, I picked up both their interior linemen are fairly stout for inside zone. However, outside zone is just it's there. It's free pretty much. And they really struggle against any lateral movement. Very good north to south, west, east to west, not so much. And so that's something I'm really excited to see the coaching staff kind of take advantage of just getting those outside zones, doing the draws, QB draws, and really using that to their advantage against that run defense. And then more so on the passing side, their DBs play really soft coverage. So I saw a lot of openings kind of in that 7 to 10 yard range where someone like Dante Moore, I think those mid-distance throws he's going to just have all day. And I think they're really going to attack that defense in the passing game.
Yeah, if you know anything about Stein too, if 7-8 yard little hitches, slants and stuff are there all day, he's just going to take his wins, possess the ball, get out of there. I just think, Jeff kind of touched on it this week. I touched on it in my takeaways piece. I know a lot of media have too. The multiplicity of the offense right now is pretty crazy. Just their ability, formation changes, personnel shifts, getting guys in different spots. One play, DeCorian Moore's at running back, Hill's in the slot. Next play, Sadiq's at quarterback. I cannot imagine being the Northwestern D coordinator right now with your like 2 hours of practice. Like, what do you even focus on?
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and that's something with their linebackers for Northwestern. They really, really struggle against any type of misdirection, whether it's like play action or just a misdirection run. They bite so hard. So I think Stein's going to do a good job of just creating that flow of thinking or to get the linebackers to go, and then the play's going to end up on the other side. So I'm really excited to kind of see what they drop.
Yeah, it truly feels like this offense is really built to win any game or succeed against any type of defense. Like Lanning's always said, like, put the ball in the parking lot. We're going to line up and play. I do a story every week where, just previewing the opposing defense. And one of the questions I ask in it is, is Oregon built to succeed or just score on this defense? And every week so far, and I'm assuming every week going forward, it's going to be like, yeah, they're kind of built to score on anyone because they can run 14 personnel and run it down your throat. They can also go 5 wide and go deep. So I kind of feel that they're going to find what works this week and they're going to get after it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the sign of a good offense. I mean, and a good coordinator and a system is like, you don't just want, Will Stein can tailor his offense to what he sees in the opposing defense, obviously, but the quarterback he has too. The offense looks completely different through 2 games than it did under Gabriel in 2 games. And that's, I think people are like, reading that into Gabriel or Dante or stuff, it's like, no, like Stein catered an offense that fit DG well, and we went 13-0, and now he's catering an offense that fits Dante more well, and things look good so far. So I think when you combine that with the fact that then you can tailor it to, okay, we see this stuff on Northwestern, like you mentioned, Tyrell, of like, here are their weaknesses. Okay, well, let's now cook up a game plan that's going to target that stuff, and we have the guys to do it. So I don't know. As long as we're clean operationally, I know there was some like pre-snap stuff last week that I'm sure they're cleaning up this week. Like I don't see any reason we're not in the 40s or above.
Completely agree. Let's get into some predictions. Who are a few players who you guys think will end up standing out in this game? Tyrell, let's start with you.
I'm going to say the O-line as a whole definitely going to stand out. I feel like there's going to be a lot of passing yards and a lot of rushing yards.
Okay. Travis?
If we start offensively, I think, beyond the easy answer of more, I'm just looking out for some of these like big play wide receivers to continue making plays out there. I know we've talked a lot about Malik Benson over the first couple of weeks. I think that's a guy that clearly has shown that he can stretch the field with his speed. So I got to imagine if we're running the ball successfully like we think we will, that'll open up some like play action deep shots to him and DeCorian. So I think it'll look similar to these past 2 weeks where there's maybe not a ton of targets at the wide receivers position, but they're like spread amongst guys a little more. But I assume those, yards per catch totals are going to be up there again. And I would look specifically at Benson and Moore probably.
Yeah, I'm going to look at the running backs. I think that you could definitely run on Northwestern. I don't know if it's going to be Noah or Jaden, but I think one of them is going to have a really big day. There's a good chance both of them probably have a really big days again. But like Tyrell said, when those game comes when you need to bring your own juice and you need to get stuff going, run the ball and just dominate them physically. And I think that this team is really well suited to do that. And I think they're going to try to do that early and often. Yep. Do you guys have anyone else who you think is gonna stand out, or should we move on?
I say whoever's honestly at the end is gonna do a good job too. For their Northwestern's tackles, they play so soft. They give you the edge, which as a tackle, that's like not what you want to do. So I think there's going to be a lot of quarterback pressures, not necessarily sacks, but a lot of pressures. Okay. So whoever's on the DN position, either side, it's going to do.
Mateo and Tatum, big days.
I'm right with you, Tyrell. I think, if we defend like the run like we think we are going to with guys like Washington on the interior, I think that once again we're going to be in a game that we saw this weekend where like a lot of 2nd and 9, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 situations like that where it's like straight passing downs. I've loved that like 3rd down package with Breland on the interior. He's been making plays. Yeah. So I think that whole crew, Blake Purchase, Breland, like you said, Zach, Tuioti, Mateo, I think there'll be plenty of opportunities to make some plays.
What is one question that you have about this team that you want to see answered this week? Do you guys have anything?
I'll go first. I got one. I think, I'm not sure it's going to happen. I just wish it will happen is like, I want someone to like really throw the ball and test us a little bit. I want to like see our DBs challenged and like making plays, because I think they will make them. But I mean, I don't remember how many passes Montana State completed, but I feel like all of them were over the middle. And then last week, I think they went like 9 for 17. It was like 60 yards. So like, I know
7 for 19.
There you go. Even worse. I just want to see like opportunities for these young dudes, Finney and Offord, and these guys we're hearing so much about. Like, challenge them, throw the ball down the field a couple times at them, and like give them an opportunity to make some plays. I know it's obviously not something we can control, but I'm hoping if we can get them in some of those 3rd and long situations, they won't just, check the ball down and roll up and get out of there like Oklahoma State did.
Tyrell, you got anything?
I'd say probably special teams, especially like the field goal team, just because there was that one kick in the Oklahoma State game that was short, which it happens. And I think Northwestern will have a few stops in their red zone, so we can really just see that kicker shine and kind of get that confidence back after that short kick.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing that you did, Travis. Like I don't feel like we have that many questions about this team, at least for this game. Like, once they get up against bigger teams like, Penn State, Indiana, like, I want to see how they hold up in those environments. But against this game, sleepy kickoff, sleepy environment, like, I think we pretty much know what we're going to get. But I would like to see that secondary just tested a little bit. We saw a little bit more last week. I love what we saw from Thieneman running that too high. I like the 3 safety look. I think that's a really good model for this defense. But put the ball in the air, man. Just let them go get it. Let me see what that looks like. I think Preston Stone will. I didn't watch all of his picks from the Tulane game. I saw a couple of them, and I know that he's willing to try and put the ball in harm's way sometimes. So I think that'll happen. Do you guys have any bold predictions for this game?
All right, I've got Malik Benson 65-yard plus touchdown. Happening.
Okay.
I mentioned it a second ago. I just think there's going to be a lot of opportunities down the field in advantageous matchups. And I think there at some point, unless they're just fine with us, like grinding them down, getting 5 to 7 yards every single play, playing way off on the edges, like Tyrell mentioned, like if they're fine with that and just like letting us just have the game and get out of there. Okay. But I just hope at some point they'll give us some opportunities to push the ball down the field, and I know Dante will want to do that.
Tyrell?
I'd say there's going to be at least one play action that goes for a touchdown, and then there's going to be a defensive touchdown.
Okay, I like it.
Love it.
I've got 5 different players score a rushing touchdown, and Dante Moore is one of them.
Okay, give me your other 4.
Okay, Jaden's going to get one. Noah's going to get one. Dier's going to get one.
Okay.
And then you got to go Davison.
Davison, yeah.
Of course, Davison's going to get a touchdown in every game this year. I'm sure of it.
It's so wild. I mean, we don't need to get into it because I know the national stuff is all over it and there's a lot of questions. But, like, the fact that you just go through that and don't list Mekhi Hughes after just, like,
Crazy.
the offseason we had, it's definitely the most interesting part of the start of the year, I'll just say.
Yeah, and I talked to Jonathan Stewart about that earlier this week. The fact that, he's still getting his touches. I mean, he led the team in carries last week, but he just didn't look, amazing with the ball in his hands. And we talked about, I trust Jay Stu's opinion on this. He's got the running back mindset. It's all stuff that he can get better at, pretty much. It's stuff like just not seeing the hole in time, stuff like that. So I'm curious to see how that improves. But yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely the most interesting thing of the season thus far.
Well, I mean, the nice part is, too, like, I'm not sure if it was Cover 3. Someone national was talking about it in regards to him, and it's like, if it takes him a little time to get up to speed, obviously the talent, the skill, everything is there. Like, if that guy's fresh in November because he's only had X amount of carries, like, okay, maybe he's a little dinged right now. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe there's a couple, like, non-ball carry issues that he's having, playbook, whatever. I mean, none of us truly deep down know the answer. Like, okay, I mean, obviously the guys who are running out there right now are doing the job just fine, and we haven't gone into a November in years with all of our running backs like healthy. So if it results in that, so be it.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Let's talk about game flow. We mentioned it earlier. Oregon wins this game in a blowout if they do what? And Oregon is in a close game in the second half if what happens?
I say it's a blowout if Oregon just kind of takes what Northwestern gives them. There's a lot of space that Northwestern leaves out there. that if Oregon's offense can attack it, it'll be a fun day.
Yeah, I think right along with that. If we just come out in the first quarter and do what we need to do, I think that ball game's done. We talked about that earlier. I think that starts with running the game. I think it starts with offensive line, like we talked about. I think it's just like a tone game. You come out, set the tone, you show you're the better team early. It's curtains at that point. But I do think, with the close game part, I just think it's going to take some weird things happening. Honestly, like it's going to take some fluky turnover. My biggest example in my head of that, Tyrell, were you 2013? No, 2014 was your first year?
Yeah.
So I remember 2013 playing at Arizona, which was just like a brutal loss. I remember first drive of the game, Mariota hadn't thrown a pick all year, and he freaking drills Josh Huff in the chest, drops it, the ball flies up in the air, and Arizona guy tips it to another, and it's like just one of those things where you're like, oh, is this really going to be one of those games? Yeah, and it's like I feel like it's going to take some stuff like that where it's like, okay, what's going on here? This isn't stuff we ever do, or this is like fluky.
Yeah, to me, it kind of like what Tyrell said for what happens if it's a blowout. If it's close in the second half, I think it's because Oregon might be trying to do a little bit too much. Like they've gotten through a couple weeks and they're throwing so many formations out, but they're still keeping the game plan relatively vanilla. Like they're not doing too many crazy things out there despite all the window dressing. If they try and do a little bit too much and try and get a little cute in places, that I think leads to some of those plays that you're talking about, Travis, where fluke stuff tends to happen. But I don't really have any worry about that because so far we've seen them do a really good job of just owning the ball and possessing it and not even coming close to putting it in harm's way so far.
Yeah. I would just reckon Duck fans. If you had to we'll talk about predictions in a sec, but a lot of really amazing teams have taken a quarter to get up and going at Northwestern. Mm-hmm. A lot of great Oregon teams have taken a quarter to get up and going at Stanford or at Cal or some of these other environments in the Pac-12. Coaches can say all they want, players can say all they want. It's still it's a barrier. There's a reason these games are talked about as challenges. So I don't know. I can see it being 28-0 after one. I can also see it being 10-3 and the message boards are melting down. It's just relax. It's going to be all right.
Yeah, if it's 7-0 after one, it's okay, let's just hold that tweet and just wait till halftime. See what the score is then.
Yeah, it doesn't mean Dan has lost his ability to motivate the team or the culture of the locker room is wrong because we're not playing perfect football at 9 a.m. across the country. It's going to be all right.
Completely agree. All right, as far as betting line goes, once again, Oregon is favored by 27.5 points. That's 3 straight weeks with that line. The over-under is only 48.5. That is extremely low for an Oregon game so far. What are you guys taking? There's any of those lines stick out to you? Tyrell, start with you.
I'm going the over for both.
Yeah. Okay.
I actually, I'll give you a not so fast, my friend, in honor of Coach Corso. I think we may shut them out, and I think if anything, they're 3, 7, 10 max range. Because of that, I'm slight under, but Oregon covers.
I'm in the exact same boat. I think this is Purdue last year, which was 35-0. I've got 35, 38-0, 42-6 maybe, which would be a barely over. But I'm hedging the under, which you hate betting unders because that's no fun at all. But I don't think this is a game that I don't think Northwestern is going to score really at all. But Oregon probably it's a long flight over there. They're going to want to get home. Just keep that clock moving.
The tough part is, it's why I wish I was on Tyrell's side. Is as we've said the last 2 weeks. This team is just different in the third and fourth quarter than we've seen the last few years. We've seen these teams sit on the ball the last few years, but it's Moga's out there leading touchdown drives, running around like crazy at quarterback. Our defense is getting touchdowns. A bunch of young dudes out there. So I don't know. This is why I don't bet on Oregon.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. I want to know what you guys are watching. Once again, we've got a great weekend of college football. As I see Travis scramble to open up his ESPN app. Looking at the schedule as a whole, what games outside of Oregon, Northwestern are you planning to watch this week? Let's go one by one. I'll start with you, Tyrell. Is there anything that really grabbed your attention that you want to tune into?
Not off the top of my head now.
Really? Okay. All right. I'll start us off then.
Yeah, Zach, you start us off. I got to study this schedule a little more.
That's fine. This is a big one. I've got like 9 games on the schedule that I want to watch. 9 a.m. we won't be able to watch it, but still a good one is just Alabama, Wisconsin. I'll start it right there. Like, I want to see Alabama. And if Wisconsin is, decent in the Big Ten, they actually might be able to keep that game close, but Alabama should be able to get that. Travis, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because it's a total hate watch, but I was originally supposed to go to this Northwestern game, and we were going to drive over to South Bend after and go to the Notre Dame A&M game at night, which would be a sweet environment. I find myself like I feel in my heart I don't like Notre Dame, but I can't actually articulate why. So, but I do hate A&M. That I can say for sure. That whole weird stuff they do there just creeps me out. So, night game. I'm excited to watch that one. That's my next pick.
That'll be a very fun game. I've got Georgia and Tennessee at 12:30. Yeah. Oregon's game should be, if not over by that point. So I'll be able to have that one on the second TV and kind of tune into that one. That should be a lot of fun. Number 6 versus number 15.
The Miami USF game should be pretty interesting.
Should be really good.
Especially after last week what USF did.
Yeah.
How wild is it? How wild is it? That's on CW.
I couldn't believe that when I saw
makes
that.
no sense.
I don't know what channel
that game's going to be really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be just so weird waking up and having a Duck game at 9. I mean, the only game I can ever remember at 9 is Ohio State, but I was there, so like it didn't feel that weird.
Oh, that was in 2021.
Yeah, so like this is like wake up the Ducks. But I think the cool thing is as long as we handle our business, it's like you're just chilling on the couch the rest of the day, watching all this other stuff. I think, I mean, Florida LSU. I just think that's like obviously big time environment. Is that at Florida or LSU? For some reason
it is at LSU.
So like I mean that's probably my biggest bucket list is to see an LSU game at night. And I know Florida obviously coming off a tough loss, but I feel like it's one of those games where like those two teams could play no matter the year, and it's going to be just like a close competitive game.
Yeah, I'm going to take my last one for the ranked matchups. Number 12, Clemson at Georgia Tech. It's another 9 a.m. game. I'm just really curious to see Clemson this year. Like, they had so much hype preseason. Like, some people had them ranked number 1. They have not really looked that thus far. They had the loss to LSU, and then they really didn't look that great last week against Troy either. I think they kind of skirted out with that win. So I want to see them in a good ACC game.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. That's one of those I'm going to have to catch up on later. I don't know if you're like me, but I can't have a second screen on during a Duck game. I got to go single only. I think the only other one that's like half interesting to me is just A&M Beavs.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I mean, not only to watch the Beavs a little bit, but A&M's kind of, Texas Tech's kind of intriguing to me.
Texas
so
Tech, yeah.
I don't know. I'll throw it on.
Something.
That's good. It's a good third screen.
Yeah. Do you have any other, Tyrell?
Not really. I mean, you guys pretty much nailed all the ones that I'm kind of hyped to watch.
I just, for the later window, because there's not much on at night, Duke-Tulane, I think would be interesting, just an interesting QB matchup. Duke's quarterback, Darian Minso was at Tulane, so that's a bit of a revenge game.
Yeah.
Minnesota-Cal at 7:30.
That's not bad.
Jerry and Cave. I want to watch that. And then Texas State at Arizona State. Like, let's see what Kenny does after losing last week. Just see how he bounces back.
Yep, I'm with you on that.
All right. I think that is all for that. Let's jump into Autzen Airwaves.
Yeah, let's do it. 3 questions this week. Appreciate all the Ducks Rising members sending these in. First question is actually for you, Tyrell. What have you seen from the offensive line so far? Do you have any concerns or call-outs of things that the unit should work on moving forward?
Not really. I mean, whether it's twist games, like that's not twist games, they did a pretty good job. Communication down on the field looked good. One thing that really excited me is watching the guys play with leverage and a good punch, because it's really hard to coach that. And so to see the guys all kind of naturally have that good punch and play with extension on pass pro, for me, is really exciting.
Love that. I mean, this unit has been, I feel like that's another one that the nation's starting to pick up on a little bit, just talking about how impressive this unit's been. And I know there's some people out there worried about bringing in 3 transfers. But man, credit to Coach Terry and these other guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy how different it feels through 2 games from last year when all the continuity was back.
That's hard to do with that amount of time. So to see them gel so well together, for me, it's fun. It's really exciting to see.
Nice. Awesome. Okay. Question for each of us. We could probably just run through this. What aspect of this team or player has surprised you the most through 2 games?
I've got one. The wide receiver blocking and just the skill position player blocking in general. Give it to tight ends and running backs as well, because every level, I mean, whether it's Noah picking up blitz in the backfield, Kenyon Sadiq going down and just pancaking dudes left and right, and then the wide receivers are just doing an incredible job blocking down the field. It's not like, I almost feel like it's discrediting what they've done in the past and what Junior Adams has done. Like, incredible coach, great coach, would love to have Junior Adams. Ross Douglas, I don't know what he's doing differently, but this receiver room has not blocked this way before that we've seen. So credit to him. I mean, maybe it's just the guys in the room. I know a lot of them are new, so I've been so impressed by what they do at that level.
Tyrell, what do you got?
I think you kind of nailed what I was going to say. Just blocking as a whole has been unbelievable, and for me, it's exciting to see. That was my job. So to see everyone from wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, and then of course the O-line eagerly trying to run people down to go pancake them is so much fun, and it sets such a good tone. And it's honestly, it looks like there's a competition out there on who can get the best blocks during the game, because everyone's going for it, and it's fun.
Well, I mean, how often are you seeing, like, I feel like in Ducks vs. Them, in highlights of the game, in Jeff's breakdown, all this stuff, it's like we're not even supposed to be looking at the runners. We're just like the blockers are the ones being highlighted, like shouted out. That's like, oh, cool, this guy's running behind him with the ball, but watch this guy instead, which I can't remember happening super often. So that's been super cool. I think for me, I mean, Jerry Mixon's a guy that I know we had a lot of need for, and I know there was a lot of discussion around him and potential around him, but I think you can make the argument that he's playing as good as anyone at that position right now, which is a huge development. And I think moving forward into the season, if our D-line is playing at the level we think it can play, like having true 3 above the line, like competent linebackers that are playing at that level is a huge asset. So I think just like his development and his skill set that he brings is big moving forward. All right, last one, and then we'll get out of here. Dan talks a lot about above the line players. Tyrell, how clear is it on tape when you watch practice back how many O-line are above the line? Is it hard to evaluate when you don't get reps with the first string as a backup?
So what exactly, when they say like above the line?
Basically just like how, when you're watching the offensive line play, how obvious is it, like one guy to one guy if they're above the line, which is basically just like playable.
Okay.
And then how hard is it to evaluate guys who like aren't with the first team and who are backups when they might not be playing with the same like units or at this, with the same guys at the same skill level?
Yeah, I mean, they're, for the most part, all at Oregon for a reason. They all can play. And so whether you're a starter or a backup, like for my instance, my freshman year, kind of when you go in, you are expected to play like a starter. If you don't, I mean, it is what it is, but you are expected that level of play. And so from a fan experience, it's kind of harder to see that because you're not watching practice every single day. But I feel like, especially for Oregon, their backups can play too. And though it might be kind of harder to evaluate them, I trust if someone goes down that whoever's going to fill that spot is out there for a reason and go, I'm all. And then if you are that guy who's, for me, like my freshman year, who started off as third-string tackle, had an injury to Tyler Johnstone who got hurt, and then I was backup tackle. Then we had Andre Y get hurt during the Michigan State game, and I got thrown out there. It was, from my perspective, like as soon as I stepped on, I was like, I'm out here for a reason. I got to go keep my quarterback safe and make sure the running back scores. And so I think if you're a fan, if anything happens, I think we're in pretty good hands with our backups because I know they are practicing to be that starter for in case that were to happen because I know that's what my mentality was. might not be starting, but I'm going to practice like I'm going to be starting because I want to start one day. And so I think there's a lot of guys who might not be getting as many reps, but they'll be fine.
That's awesome. Super cool perspective. Well, thanks to all the people for writing in this week. If you've got a question moving forward, definitely shout us out.
Absolutely. Let's wrap it up there. Just another reminder, if you're listening to this, check out the Jeff Schwartz Ducks Rising film room from last week, which dropped earlier this week. Also check out the Ducks Rising Alumni Corner with EFO from earlier in this week. Again, while this podcast and these separate videos are free right now, pretty soon the videos are going to be for subscribers only. If you are not hooked up with Ducks Rising just yet, now is the time. Head over to ducksrising.com and sign up. Remember that 97% of all proceeds are going back to the athlete in the form of NIL, so it is truly your best way to help contribute to the team and help Dan Lanning bring a championship to Eugene. Travis, Tyrell, do you guys have anything to add before we get out of here?
No, just grateful to Tyrell. Appreciate you joining today. Super valuable perspective and everything. Excited about hashing out a little more what we can do at Ducks Rising with bringing you aboard, but just grateful to you and grateful to all the listeners out there.
I appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely. All right, you can check us out on YouTube. Find the Ducks Rising podcast on Apple or Spotify. And if you'd be so kind, give us a rating, give us a review. That really helps us build this thing. You can follow me on social media at Zachary C. Neel. And follow Travis at Travis Rooke-Ley. Most importantly, go over to Lockerverse, check out Ducks Rising, subscribe now, and support the program. Let's rise together. We will talk to you guys next week.